we're here for a cause. We're here to make sure that our voices are heard, our demands are heard, that Rikers needs to be shut down immediately. And so for those of you that don't know me, my name is Melanie Dominguez, and I'm the lead community organizer with the Catal Center for Equity, Health, and Justice. And I know that many of us here have been here for the past year, just standing in front of the U.S. District Court, demanding that the judge appoint an independent receiver to take control of Rikers Island from the Adams administration. And like I said, we've been here for the past year, in the cold, in the scorching heat, in the rain, because we won't give up. In that time period, since these hearings began back in November of last year, there's been at least 28 incarcerated people that have died in New York City jails under the watch of the mayor, Eric Adams. It ain't right. It's a shame. It's a shame. And here we are once again, ahead of today's hearing, to urge the federal court once again, to do the right thing. We need the federal courts to intervene. We need the federal courts to appoint an independent receiver to take control of Rikers Island, to improve the conditions, to reduce the violence. And support for the federal receivership has been growing over the past year. Over 50 community groups have signed on in support of the receivership. Let's make some noise for that. Let's make some noise for that. Many elected officials in New York have called for a federal receivership, including the public advocate Jumalee Williams, Comptroller Brad Lander. Nearly 20 city council members have come out in support of the receivership. And most recently, U.S. Attorney General Leticia James submitted an amicus brief on behalf of her support for a receivership. We also had the Attorney General Damian Williams. We had the New York Civil Liberties Union that submitted an amicus brief. And so support for receivership is growing. And the reason that that's the case is because for this past year, since the mayor took office, it's been clear to all of us here, it's been crystal clear that this mayor is not committed to shutting down Rikers. He is not committed to protecting those that are being detained at Rikers Island right now. And we've seen this in his practices. We've seen him put more cops in black and brown communities. We've seen him incarcerate black, brown, and poor New Yorkers. And we've seen him take money away from our communities, take money away from things that are so essential and that our communities need to thrive, like housing, healthcare, education, and jobs. This is what our communities need. And so for right now, one of the things that we need to understand is that, yes, the mayor needs to commit to shutting down Rikers. We have a fight against this mayor to get him to commit to shut it down. Right, shutting down Rikers is the end game. That's what we need. That's what our loved ones deserve. But until that happens, we need the federal courts to intervene. That's why we're here today, ahead of the federal court hearing that is happening in that building right there. And we're just telling the judge, we're not going to give up. We're not going to stop. You already seen what the mayor has done. The federal monitor has been very adamant about what the condition. The federal monitor has put out so many reports about the injustices that are going on at Rikers, the lack of transparency, all of the corruption, and all of that to name is that this administration, this mayor is not doing what needs to happen, what needs to be done in order to keep our people safe. And so with that, once again, I'm just going to make sure that we are crystal clear in our demand. Our demand is that the mayor needs to shut down Rikers. And until that happens, to make sure that our loved ones are protected, to make sure that those that are on the island right now, that are at Rikers Island right now, are not languishing, are not dying, are not suffering, we need the courts to intervene to improve the conditions. We need the court to appoint an independent receiver. So with that being said, I'm going to do one chant for all of us to make sure that we warm up, that we get the energy going. We're all here. We're going to make some noise. We're going to make sure that they hear us inside that court. We're going to make sure that the mayor hears us as well. So when I say it's time to what, you say shut Rikers down. It's time to what?
Shut Rikers down.
It's time to what?
Shut Rikers down.
I said it's time to what?
Shut Rikers down.
That's right. Woo! Shut it down. That's right. So right now, going to introduce our first speaker, and it is Alice Fontier, who is the Managing Director at the Neighborhood Defender Service of Harlem. So make some noise, y'all.
Thank you, Melanie. As Melanie said, my name is Alice Fontier. I'm the Managing Director of the Neighborhood Defender Service of Harlem. I'm here today to echo everything Melanie just said. We must close Rikers Island. I can't count how many times I have stood in the square after a death over the last few years and said those words, and yet we're still here demanding that it happen. And every day that Mayor Adams has been in power, we have gotten farther away from that goal. Instead of going down, the population of Rikers continues to go up. Police have flooded, I live in East Harlem. Police have flooded my community and communities like mine and are making petty and nonsense arrests, and people are being held at unbelievably high rates in a deadly facility. Now you hear about the deaths, but that's just part of it. It is the worst part, to be sure. But for the thousands of people who are forced to be on that island, they are struggling every single day to survive and struggling without being provided the basic services to allow that to happen. And when I say basics, I mean it. The people there often do not get food brought to them. They do not have their medications that are necessary. They do not have access to go to medical care. The heat in many places is not working. No one here gets to complain about the cold. We get to go home today. Our friends, our community, our clients who are at Rikers Island do not get to go home. They are stuck there hoping to survive. Now, the department has two jobs: keep people safe, bring them to court. That's it. It is the easiest mandate that a Department of Corrections has of any department in this city, and they are failing spectacularly. People barely make it to court, never on time, and they are not safe. They're barely surviving. Many do not. If any other organization, any other department in this government, anyone else failed so spectacularly at their jobs, everyone would agree. You don't get to have your job anymore. It's that simple. This department has proven that they cannot do their job. And the time for someone else to do it has long since passed. A receiver is not a magic bullet, let me be clear. A receiver does not solve the heat and the issues at Rikers Island immediately. But what they can do is change the policies, change the staffing, address those core problems that the Department of Corrections and this administration refuse to address. Many of the problems there are by choice, and a receiver has the power to not make those choices anymore. What we have seen from this administration is doubling down on bad policies, and in order to get away with it, they are hiding it. They've kicked out programs by defunding them. They've made it almost impossible to visit your clients, and no one gets information. They don't communicate with the Board of Corrections, the oversight body, and so instead of fixing, they are hiding. Commissioner Molina, who's oversaw how many deaths, made no changes except to make it worse, got a promotion. And now they're doubling down by bringing in somebody from the inside. When the inside is rotten, you cannot fix it from that spot. We must have a receiver until Torture Island is closed. It is that simple. Close Rikers and appoint a receiver until that happens.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alice, for sharing that testimony, that very, very powerful testimony. I want to make sure that we, do a little chant right now, and so repeat after me. When I say, until Rikers is closed, what do we need? Y'all say a federal receivership. Until Rikers is closed, what do we need?
Federal receivership.
What do we need?
federal receivership.
I said, what do we need?
A federal receivership.
That's right, everybody. Thank you so much. Woo! So our next speaker is one of our members. So our member Charlene Melendez, she wrote a testimony. She could not be here with us today, but her son right now is incarcerated at Rikers Island, and she wanted to make sure that her words were present in this space. And so on her behalf, we're gonna have Leticia Smith read her testimony for all of us here. Woo! Woo! So make some noise.
Charlene Melendez, a member of the cartel, said the deaths need to stop. There's far too much blood that has been shed. In only 2 years, at least 28 people have died in the city jails under Mayor Adams' watch. As a mother whose son is currently at Rikers, I feel so deeply for all parents that have lost a child at the hands of the Department of Corrections. There is absolutely nothing that can be done now to ease the pain that you are going through. How do you explain to a mother that her son got killed? We need the mayor to commit to shutting down Rikers. We need him to stop killing our kids.
That's right.
No matter what we did, no one should have to pay for a mistake they may or may not have committed with their lives.
That's right.
There is no justice. Violence is out of control at Rikers Island. Everyone that is detained on the island is living in fear. My son is terrified. Every single day he is fighting for his life. My son wants out. While being detained at Rikers, he has lost so much weight. He went from 165 pounds down to 126 pounds. The reason why he lost so much weight is because he can't sleep at night. He is in a state of constant fear that he can't even allow his body to rest. My kid is barely hanging in there. I want my kid out of Rikers. I had a friend of mine whose husband was just been sent to Rikers. And when he went to the restroom, they had 20 to 30 razor blades out and open, ready to be used. Correctional officers are not doing anything to keep people safe. They are often the ones bringing in the contraband. You cannot cage people in these horrible conditions and expect them to be better off. This does nothing but cause more harm and violence. People don't have access to medical care. People are living in terrible conditions. People are dying. Rikers Island is a hellhole and it needs to be shut down.
That's right.
We will continue to fight. Eventually our voices will be heard. We all have to be strong, especially for our loved ones in there. We have to stick together as one. Until the mayor shuts down Rikers, it's time for the courts to appoint an independent receiver. Thank you.
That's right. When I say it's time to what? Shut Rikers down. It's time to what?
Shut Rikers down.
It's time to what?
Shut Rikers down.
It's time to what?
Shut Rikers down.
Okay, we're bringing the energy today. I feel it. It's echoing in here, so I appreciate you all. If you can, please hold those signs up high so that they can see it, so that everyone can know that we're here today to hold this mayor accountable, and that we're asking the judge to please appoint an independent receiver to save lives. And so next up, we're actually going to have another member of Catal Center. Her name is Danielle Efutosi. And she's going to come up right now. So make some noise. Give her some love to Danielle.
Greetings, everyone. Epa Orisha. Epa Orisha. May everyone be blessed today. I'm thankful to be here to speak on my son's behalf. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
As a parent whose son, Ifa Shegun, is now 19 years old, with high honors from junior high to high school and also homeschooled as well, with great talents. He is a musician, artist, producer of his own style of music. He also was a pitcher for Marlins baseball team in Georgia, a point guard at Clyde's basketball in Manhattan, and a poet-writer. He finished school at the age of 16 and had to wait till he was 18 years old to be able to receive his GED, to receive his high school diploma. He is well-versed and gifted. He has a good behavior. He is an excellent listener. He traveled across the United States of America and seen the beauty of life and its culture and the different diversities of people and the vastness of education abroad. He has been incredibly hard to see him go through such horror at Rikers. My son was diagnosed with schizophrenia and severe anxiety as of 2023. He suffered his first episode of psychotic mental break, which led him to his first offense. He has been in Rikers Island for 7 months and some change. My son is in mental observation in RNDC. The conditions of Rikers Island are unfit for any human being. For months, my son wore the same suit with mildew stains. He has been harassed and threatened about his jail suit being too tight on him by other incarcerated people. His jail suit is undersized. When I last saw him in court, I saw him with my own eyes that he did not have the proper clean jail suit. His body was squeezing out of his clothes. I reported this matter and other issues in regard to his mental response to the health and hygiene issues with 311 and the Department of Corrections contentious report. I've never received any response in regards to any of my son's concerns from Rikers Island. My son has not been able to properly wash his clothes in over months. My son shared with me that he had to wash his clothes, undergarments, in a small sink in his personal cell. In the beginning of his incarceration, my son used to receive his medication at a regular schedule. For the past 2 months, his medication would arrive 3 hours later or whenever they can give it. He is receiving his medication on an irregular schedule, which is not healthy for his diagnosis. During this time, he has been on lockdown. Once he was on lockdown for 120 hours. He was not at fault for no reason to be on lockdown for so long. He explained that during that time, the meals that were distributed in his cell were skin meals. It was not the normal portion that he would receive on a daily basis while incarcerated. I would really like my son's story to be heard. This is not fair. New York City is the best city in the world, and the treatment that my son received is not in his greatest care one bit. This is unacceptable. My son and so many others deserve to be treated with dignity. They don't deserve to be left to languish and suffer. My son suffered from mental illness and should have received the help he needed from the very beginning. He should not be in Rikers Island. At this moment, he is waiting to have his case transferred over to the mental health court to discuss him receiving better treatment. While he's waiting for a bed since the past 7-8 months. This is a slow process. This is not moving fast enough for his mental treatment and care. As of October 19, 2023, my son was found unfit before the judge at the mental health court. Essentially, my son has been waiting for a bed since he was in the ER at Brookdale Hospital of April 2023. This has been a stressful matter for him and myself with his sister, who have survived a germinoma brain tumor, which is rare, 1% in the United States. Our family, like many others, are going through such hard time. We really need Mayor Adams to shut down Rikers Island and invest in our community, invest in the health care and access to mental health. At the very least, I urge the federal courts to appoint and the independent receiver to approve conditions at Rikers so can get a peace of mind that my son will not be harmed and will get the medication that is required and immediately be transferred to the mental health facility so that he can be rehabilitated and not be abused while being in Rikers Island and being attacked. Enough is enough. We have to work together and understand that there's brothers in there that are suffering, and we have to open our mouth and we have to take the action for Rikers Island to be shut down now. Mayor Adams here now. Adams should be shut down now. Rikers Island should be shut down now. I shut it down.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
No,
So much love for you, Danielle. We're here for you and for your family. Thank you for those powerful words. And when I say no justice,
No peace.
no justice,
No peace.
I said no justice,
No peace.
no justice.
No peace.
It's time to what?
Shut Rikers down.
It's time to what?
Shut Rikers down.
I said it's time to what?
Shut Rikers down.
All right, everyone. Woo! Woo! So next up, we have Caitlin Garbo from, who's the manager of public policy and advocacy at the National Alliance on Mental Illness of New York City. So make some noise for Caitlin.
Let's go, Caitlin.
Are we keeping warm? Yeah. We're going to keep the energy up. We're going to keep the energy up. All right. My name is Caitlin Garbo. I'm the manager of public policy and advocacy with the National Alliance on Mental Illness of New York City, NAMI NYC. We're here today because we believe that everyone, regardless of race, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, or housing status, deserves the same quality mental health care. The first time that someone receives mental health care should not be when they end up at Rikers. Mayor Adams says we cannot look away from New Yorkers who are suffering, and I'm here to tell you that the people at Rikers, more than half of whom who have mental illness and over 17% have serious mental health diagnoses, are suffering. Why? Because far too often they're not receiving the medical treatment they need.
Talk about it.
They are subjected to inhumane, unsafe conditions, including solitary confinement. They're not in the right place for treatment.
It ain't right.
In fact, Rikers has been, as we've heard so many times today already, described inside as a torture chamber. Despite all this, the mayor and other city officials have not really been doing what they need to do to mandate the closure of Rikers. They're also proposing budget cuts that would be detrimental to the vast majority of New Yorkers who rely on city-funded services and care. This is the same community care that promotes recovery, prevents people from destabilizing, and they end up having run-ins with the law because they're not getting the help that they need to begin with.
Right.
New Yorkers were made a promise that Rikers would be shut down by 2027. The conditions at Rikers should not only urge our leaders to keep that promise, but we should be accelerating that promise. We must continue advocating for New Yorkers who are continuing to be impacted by this crisis on Rikers Island.
Yes, that's right. Woo! Woo! Make some noise for Caitlin, y'all. Woo! People need access to mental health care, mental health within the communities. Why is it that Rikers Island right now is one of the largest mental health institutions in New York City? That is a shame. Shame on Rikers and shame on this mayor. We need this mayor to do better. We need this mayor to invest in our communities and our people. And so when I say it's time to what? Shut Rikers down. It's time to what?
Shut Rikers down.
Please, Dr. Sharon McLennan, who is the Executive Director at the Center for Independence of the Disabled.
Let's go.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Sharon McLennan Ware, the Executive Director of one of the greatest places on earth, the Center for Independence of the Disabled, New York. I am here to talk about people with disabilities. Sydney represents and helps every disabled New Yorker. We don't care if you live in Harlem, live in the Bronx, live on the street corner, or live in Rikers. According to the Americans with Disabilities Act, everyone is protected that have a mental, physical, emotional, behavioral, medical, learning disability that substantially limits your major life activity. Do you know that 25% of the United States population are people with disabilities? People with disabilities is the only minority group that do not discriminate. You could be a man or a woman or a transgender. You could be gay, straight. You could be bisexual. You could be non-binary. You could be a Jew, a Catholic, or agnostic, or even atheist. You could be rich or poor. It doesn't matter. A disability can happen at any time. So we're here to talk about accommodations. It's a legal protection, folks. It is covered by federal statute that if you have a disability, you should get your accommodations. It doesn't matter where you live. If you are on Rikers Island, do you know that 15% have learning disabilities? Over 50% have mental health disabilities. People have medical, cancer, heart attacks, diabetes, and they're not getting their treatment. It is against the law, people. It's against the law. We cannot stay here if someone is guilty or innocent. Regardless of that, an accommodation is a civil essential right. All people with disabilities are protected under the Americans with Disabilities Act, and we are calling for receivership because we know that our fellow brothers and sisters with disabilities are not receiving their accommodations while they're incarcerated. Right. It's against the law and it's unacceptable. Yes. Hear what I say? It's unacceptable. Right. Now, let's say you happen to go to Rikers and you don't have a disability. Guess what? You get traumatized being there, yes, and you develop a psychiatric diagnosis. Okay? The place is deplorable. No human, hear me, no human should live in these kind of conditions. We wouldn't wish it on our worst enemy. So we need to understand that you can get sick in Rikers, and if you have a disability, brothers and sisters, you can sue under the Americans with Disabilities Act. It is unacceptable, and we are here to advocate for every individual, regardless of your zip code. We are here to say, if you have a documented disability under the Americans with Disabilities Act, you should have your accommodations. Everyone has a right to understand what their case is about, understand how to read documents. If they can't, they should get an accommodation. We have folks that may be deaf or hard of hearing. They may need a American Sign Language interpretation, and they're not getting it. It's against the law, especially not getting your treatment. Can you imagine needing your insulin, needing your psychiatric meds to keep you stabilized, and you're not getting it? Because of what? Because you're in an incarceration situation? No. We say to everyone here, we all deserve good health care, no matter where you're living. So, hear what I'm saying? ADA is a protection for every American, because having a disability is not exclusive. It can happen at any time in your life. So, disability rights is a human right. Yes. Say it with me. Disability rights is a human right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sharon. We appreciate and love you. Thank you for sharing all of that information, and also just continue to underline that we need the mayor to shut down Rikers, and we need the federal courts to appoint an independent receiver to improve conditions and to save lives. And so when I say until Rikers is closed, what do we need?
Federal receivership.
Until Rikers is closed, what do we need? A federal receivership. What do we need?
A federal receivership.
I said, what do we need?
A federal receivership.
Woo, that's right. All right, everyone. Our next speaker is Public Advocate Jumani Williams, who actually introduced Resolution 669 calling for receivership at City Hall. And so make some noise, everyone.
Peace and blessings, love and light to y'all. Thank y'all for being out here in the cold. I'm going to be briefer than usual because it's cold out here. But you know, Rikers, one of the reasons that it is in such crisis is because it's out of sight and out of mind. So first, I want to thank y'all for making sure it remains in our sight and remains in our mind. That's really important, that people understand that those who are on Rikers are our sons and daughters and family members, friends and family, and our neighbors, and they deserve to have people remember who they are and remember what it is that they're going through. You know, I wish that the administration would speak to us in ways that make sense instead of trying to fight back everything that we're saying. Because Rikers has been a blight on our morality of our city for a very, very long time. For a long time. And people are dying in Rikers. And I want to be clear, and I always am clear, I don't want anybody to be living in those conditions. I don't want anybody working in those conditions. People who work there or who are housed there are not safe at any time in Rikers. And our detainees are actually dying. And I want people to go home how they came to work or how they were detained. And that's not what's happening in too many cases. And so we have passed a law in the city council to shut this place down. And unfortunately, we have an administration that I don't believe wants that. They want Rikers to remain open. And it is inhumane. And if it remains open, I think it's not just a stain on the city, it's be a stain on this administration. I also want to be clear that I don't just want the institution shut down, I want the culture shut down. So that when we have the borough-based jails and we think about other city jails, we don't bring a culture of Rikers to those jails. And that's why the ban on solitary is important, because it will help with all of the jails that are in the city, so we can make sure things like solitary and isolation that causes psychological harm is not taken from one place that's shut down and is brought somewhere else. And lastly, I'm always honest as possible. I sometimes have worries about our feds, and I have worries about some of the things they've done. And so I don't know that it's a panacea, but what I do know is that the status quo is not working. What I do know is that no administration has been able to solve the problem in Rikers. And since that is a problem, and since that is the case, it's time to try something else, and that receivership is that something else. I don't know that it's a panacea. I have some questions about it. I want to make sure it's not just one person making decisions, but a committee of folks who knows what's going on. But we got to do something, because doing nothing is killing people. Thank you so much. Peace and blessings.
It is. It's terrible. It needs to be shut down. Thank you so much, Public Advocate. We appreciate you. Thank you for keeping the fight going. And Rikers Island is a living hell. Shut it down. Rikers Island is a hellhole. My bad. Woo! That's right. All right, next up, we're going to have our speaker, Camilla Jones, who's the founder of Justice for Impacted Communities. So make some noise for Camilla. Woo!
Let's go, Camilla.
Woo!
Sorry, guys. Hold on. I have to read it off my phone. Okay. Sorry. Give me a minute, guys. I'm sorry.
We can do a quick chant while we wait. So it's time to what?
Shut Rikers down!
It's time to what?
Shut Rikers down!
It's time to what?
Shut Rikers down!
No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
No peace!
Woo!
All right, guys. Hello, good afternoon, and happy holidays to everyone. Today we are here to demand that the federal court appoint an independent, responsible receiver to improve conditions at Rikers Island until it is finally shut down for good. Those issues are, one, to fix the bathrooms and the showers and clear the mildews and make sure that everyone have hot showers, not cold ones. Serve healthy foods and make sure that there is a DOC worker standing there while the food is being served for every meal for everyone's safety. Number 3, family, friends, and loved ones who visit, to make sure that all visitors are treated equally with respect, and make sure they clean and sanitize areas to prevent incarcerated individuals from getting sick or any other medical conditions. People have... Oh, okay, sorry, guys.
Take your
Number
time.
4, stop arresting people that has mental issues or people that are using drugs or homeless people. They need treatment, supportive housing, mental health counseling, not to be locked up. This will minimize and prevent unnecessarily arrests. Hashtag close Rikers Island, and thank you guys.
Thank you.
Down now. We need a federal receivership.
All right, let's go.
Cause what do we need? A federal receivership. Until Rikers Island is shut down. What do we need? A federal receivership. All right, y'all. We're going to have our last speaker up, and that is Qatar leader Henry Robinson. So make some noise, y'all.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. I appreciate Danielle for coming out here, you know, for representing for the mothers and everything. I just like to say I appreciate you more because I was one of the individuals who went through mental health, right? And I did too as myself. You know, like a lot of people can't tell, but I did the same thing like your son. I went to Rikers Island. I went through the motions and not getting the medications, the treatment and stuff like that, right? And it got bad, you know what I'm saying? Because they don't care, they don't, you know, nobody understands. Even my family, my siblings, they don't understand mental health. They look at me like, yo, what the fuck? I apologize. But you know, they look at and I'm the oldest, so they look at their big brother like, this nigga is crazy. But they don't understand, you know what I'm saying? Like certain things that people just don't understand about mental health. You know what I'm saying? And it's good that we had the good doctor to come out here and speak on that and give information because it's a real serious thing though, you know what I'm saying? And we need to really take that into consideration when we deal with individuals. You can't tell who got mental health or for they looks a lot of times, you know what I'm saying? It's true. Because everybody, you know, a lot of people got something wrong with them and it's like, you know, some of us don't know because it's not so seen. But I apologize, but like I apologize, y'all. I just wanted to give time for that because that was cool. All right, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Henry Robinson, and I'm a leader of Cattell Center. For the past 3 years, I've been involved in the fight to shut Rikers down. In the time frame, we got Mayor Eric Adams, who has chosen not to take action to better the lives of all New Yorkers. Since Mayor took office, there have been at least 28 people who have died under the custody of NYC Department of Corrections. At least 28 deaths, it ain't right, occurred. That is lost loved ones. Our communities are grieving and are in need of help and not incarceration. They are grieving and they are in need of help and not incarceration. From the times that I've been detained at Rikers, I remember the first time I was held there on alleged crimes. Rikers Island was extremely hazardous for individuals who want and would like to progress or want to prosper within this society. It's sad to witness a time where not even tragedy amongst the people could bring or even make our appointed leaders come to our aid. Do the job that they were elected to do. Mayor Adam, it is time to step up and shut down Rikers.
Shut it down.
Shut it down. Shut it down, that's a fact. So 28 deaths is tragic. It is heartbreaking and horrific, especially when you take into account that our mayor could have prevented so many deaths and destruction of people just by caring for the people. It is senseless to have human beings dying in the jail complex and not doing anything about it. Rikers Island is a hellhole and needs to be stopped and destroyed. Until then, Mayor Adams shut down Rikers. We need federal courts to appoint an independent receiver to save lives and improve conditions. Shut down Rikers now and give us a federal receivership.
Shut Rikers down.
Shut Rikers down now and give us a federal receivership. Shut Rikers down now and give us a federal receivership.
Shut Rikers down
Now and give us a federal receivership. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to the mothers. All right?
Thank you so much, Henry. Thank you, everyone. I would like to give you all a big thank you for being out here today. I know it's cold, but like you heard it from Alice, we get to go home. We get to go home to our warm, cozy apartments, homes. But there's people right now who are being detained at Rikers Island who don't have that luxury, who don't have that at all. They're cold. There's no hot showers. There's nothing. The conditions are not fit for any human being for decades. And it's just gotten progressively worse under this current administration, under this mayor. He's shown us time after time that he is not committed to shutting down Rikers, that he is not committed to keeping people safe who are being detained in New York City jails. And to that we say no more. To that we say, Mayor Eric Adams, we're going to continue to show up and make sure that we hold you accountable to shutting down Rikers. And until that happens, we're going to be here and urge the federal courts to appoint an independent receiver. There is no time to waste. We cannot wait until the mayor has a moral epiphany to shut down Rikers while there's people right now in New York City jails languishing, suffering. People are dying. At least 28 people have died since the mayor took office. That's as far as we know. That's as far as we know. Shame on Adams. And so, that's right. Shame on Adams. 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 All right, y'all. I want to end with one more chant. Two more chants, all right? Let's warm up. Let's keep the energy going. Two chants. When I say it's time to what? You say shut Rikers down. It's time to what?
Shut Rikers down!
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 And until Rikers is closed, what do we need?
A federal receivership!
What do we need?
A federal receivership!
I said, what do we need?
A federal receivership!
That's right, everyone. I appreciate you all. We're going to continue to show up. We have a designated group that's going to go inside the hearing and let us know what is happening. And like always, we'll keep you all informed. And if you haven't signed up...